Black Power family, I want you to get on this joint and speak from the soul, brother.
Dear white supremacy, you thought that you could finish me, but my elders told me you're my motherfucking enemy. Sit down in energy to come at you relentlessly, and I won't give up to this justice for what you did to me. Crush you like a centipede, blessed with the strength, smarts, and the speed, and the program to end this misery. Turn my woman against me, and now she look at me like I don't respect her and can't protect the seed. Ignorant and division is what religion breeds. And my mind is deeper than all the 7 seas. So with my 9, I creep up and all you'll ever see is dead crackers. Click clacking the deadly melody. No childish ways, so my violent ways make me put my life on the line before I die in the cage. Look for truth in the sky, you can lie in the grave. Either die from AIDS or die from a cage. Either fight for freedom or die as a slave. I'll send you back from whence you came because your mind's in the cave. I denounce your Nazism and your Zionist ways. I speak the truth through my words and what I jot on the page. Yeah, this cracker said I was laid off, then he broke out and he played golf. Stress got me plotting, killing Jews like Adolf. White supremacy, gay all a black president voting. I was hesitant cause he ain't picked to represent the red, black, green, the colors I bleed. I keep fighting for my seeds for as long as I breathe. I'm supposed to be mean, but I'm all of my deed. Got me taking shots of tequila and rolling up weed. Would you sell your dignity and risk it all for your dreams? I only roll with the strong, the hand of God intervene. Told me we cut from different fabric, others tore from the seams. Giving you food for thought, you get it raw from the king. Essential minerals I'm giving you, no pork or no wings. This is all alkaline, I never rhyme for the bling. Let's go.
My ancestors woke me up this morning. They said, son, you do know what time it is, don't you? I said, what time is that? They said it's wartime. So welcome to the war front, brothers and sisters. Oh, we got an absolutely outstanding program for you tonight. We starting at 8:15. Just got back from a wedding. My brother and brother's keeper got married. My brother Yele. We want to say many, many, many congratulations. Had the most beautiful bride you've ever wanted to see. And it was just a beautiful time we had down there in Memphis, Tennessee, in land where music began. So we want to thank everybody who made that possible. That's why we ran a little late. You know, we coming back from down south, and, you know, they can change everything up on the plane, and they can start, you know, and when they start changing stuff, you got to be careful because you never know exactly what that might be about. So, you know, we had to be safe and careful to make it on back. But we're here tonight, and believe me, I know you had to wait a little bit, but it's going to be well worth the wait. We're going to have a absolutely outstanding show for you tonight. We got a special treat in the house. Now, I want you to understand, when I say in the house, see, it's more than one way where you can say in the house. Because tonight's show, what they call off the chain. You ever seen, like when you go fishing and you catch a fish, it'd be on the chain first. But if the fish is not trying to stay on the hook and he really got some fight on him, he get off the chain. Just jump off the chain, jump off the hook. It's going to be off the hook tonight. We're going to have a show because in the house, again, not like in the house like we saying somebody's around and you can hear them, but like literally physically in the house. We got the Royal Detail Black family in the house here in Washington, D.C., live, in studio, on air, on live. The sister said the sisters need to hear a message, and the message is too strong. She don't want no issues or problems with possible communication errors. So my brother said, come on, sis. He hopped in the vehicle, said we got to get there. And they made it here, and they here live, and she gonna throw down tonight in person. So we can't have any type of errors or defects. So the whiteys and their satellites can't do nothing about this one because we live direct in the house tonight. That's right. We got Sister Shabazz in the house. And we're going to do this show, a show that's desperately been needed. The first time we did it, the whitey shot out the signal from the satellite and shot the whole show down. Couldn't even get it to transmit over the air, because this is a message. They don't want this message to get out, because we talking about all the things that as African people, black people, we have to do to help our people. But we need to start focusing in. And I know if you remember some months ago, Sister Nefertari, Queen Nefertari, came out and did a powerful show talking about what the sister's role in this is. And so in the same vein, Sister Shabazz came up with a show, and she did it. It was so powerful last time she did it. We said we got to do that again live on One Horizon show. So we going 8 to 10 tonight, and this is going to be her show. So I'm going to just pretty much from, it's 8:15 now, about 8:15 to 9 o'clock. All we're going to do is sit back and listen as she starts explaining, because it's about building black men. In other words, we know that when we out there struggling day to day, we end up with a lot of issues in our community, because so much damage has been done that many black women don't know how to make things better and help build black men, but they are well versed in the art of destroying a black man. So if a black man is doing well or trying to do well, sisters don't have that art the same way they used to have it to build them up and make them even better in the way that they had in the past. Now they tend to have the knack to bring the man down, even if he is trying to strive. I'm going to tell this quick story. And after I tell this quick story, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to bring this sister on, because y'all ain't come here to hear me. Y'all came here to hear Sister Shabazz tonight. But I was at the barbershop, and I was walking over to the grocery store from the barbershop, because I always forget to bring some cash. So I had to go pick up the cash. And I'm walking over, and I meet this older brother. We just start talking. And he started telling me, he had to be in his 60s or 70s. He started telling me how he was married. And long story short, years ago, he moved to the Washington, D.C. area. And he met this sister, and I mean, she was so cool and smooth, and she had everything. I mean, she was so cool. He said, man, I got to have this woman. And he said, I should have listened. Her uncle came and sat me down one day and said, son, you do not want to deal. He said, that's my niece. I love her to death, but that is not the woman you want. You're a good man, and this is a bad decision. But he said he went ahead and did it. And he said he had 2 or 3 businesses, and they were trucking businesses and taking out trash. He had contracts. He said he was making hand over foot money. Anything she wanted, she could have. But the problem was he worked so much, she was always trying to pull him off work. But he's like, baby, you want all the stuff I'm getting you, but I can't get it if I can't work. And he said it got so bad. He said this is when he said he'd never get married again. The sister was so angry that he was out there working to give her this nice home. And he said he ain't even had time to go around and play. He said he had no desire to do that. He was committed to this woman. She called the tax folks on him. She called the tax people on him, and he got all his businesses taken from him. He wasn't even doing nothing illegal. It's just they held him up in court so long, he lost his businesses. And he said after that, he been so salty, he have a hard time dating a sister now, much less, he still deal with a sister, but he said he ain't never getting married again, man. And I just listened to the brother's story, and he was being real genuine. He said, man, look, if I was out there messing up, I said, I messed up. He said, brother, all I would do was make money and give the money to her so she would know what I was doing. She can call me anytime. She knew what I was doing. Said, but the idea that I wasn't sitting there up underneath her, she just destroyed me, man. He said, I never do it again. And I felt bad for the brother, because I said, we know so many stories about our sisters who are victims of dealing with bad men. Bad black men, and that's really black males, I should say, and that's a reality. But what we don't talk about is the skill that black women used to have to help build black men. No matter where they started, after he got that black woman in his life, he would always be 5 or 6 steps ahead after a short amount of time. That art has been lost, and that's what we're going to talk about tonight: how to build black men. What is that's the black woman's job in this journey for us to regain our place as a race of people. And the only way we can actually get back there is to have this message. And so I'm not going to try to bring the message to you, because y'all ain't going to listen to me anyway. So we're going to bring our sister on with a message that's going to be phenomenal. We thank her. She's live in the house, and she's going to start us off and start telling us what do black women start doing to start the process of rebuilding black men.
Peace. Well, I think part of our issue is that we've been bred to think that we have to be really confrontational and, that that's what it means to be a strong black woman. So I think that we need to realize that in order for black men to function, they need a very peaceful environment. The home should be a heaven. It shouldn't be a place where every time he comes home, he has to wonder what's going to happen today, what's going to be the problem. There's always something, and he's almost afraid to come home, so he can't focus on what he wants to do. I think that's something that a lot of women just really don't realize, how much our little nitpicking and complaining and all that kind of stuff can kind of knock him off track. So that's something that we definitely need to work on. Another thing is just choosing the proper mate to begin with, because if you don't choose the right man, you're not going to be able to want to do that for him. You can't go above and beyond for somebody that you can't stand half the time. And a lot of times when people read my blog, they read some of the things I say and they say, oh, I couldn't do that because my man does this and this and this, and he's not, he doesn't deserve for me to do all that. What's he going to do for me? But if you feel that way about somebody, you shouldn't be with them in the first place. If you are with somebody that you can't respect, either there's something wrong with your attitude, that you can't see the value that he has, or that's just the wrong person for you. And it also says a lot about your judgment if you choose to remain with somebody that you don't think is worthy of your effort and your respect. So I think that is a huge thing. I also have to say, as far as the brothers go, they need to stop trying to save these women who behave like savages. A lot of time they pass up the good woman, the quiet woman, for somebody that's ignorant just because, big butt and a smile kind of thing. And then they end up getting hell and they wonder why. So those are things that I think could help a lot.
So wait a minute, I gotta ask a question now. So you telling me, I'm getting some bad news tonight. So you telling me that a nice shape and a smile, a brother can't use that as his qualifying characteristics for how to pick a sister? So if that's not what he's gonna pick, man, you open up a can of worms. So what is he supposed to be looking? What is a black man when he's going out to get a sister that he wants that's gonna help him be a better man? Mm-hmm. What is he supposed to be looking for?
I think that he should look for somebody who is clean, somebody who can cook. I think.
Wait a minute, hold up. Hold up now. Now you wrote off 50% of black women in the modern market. Even the ones that, even the ones that know how to cook, mm-hmm. feel like if they do cook, mm-hmm. that they have committed some kind of crime against womanhood.
Right.
And that makes them a lesser of a woman to cook for a black man. So if all these black women are not cooking, are you saying that black men should say, these 50% over here that won't cook, I'm dealing with this other 50%? Are you saying that?
I don't see why not. I mean, the numbers are in your favor. There's a lot more available men than women, so, get some standards.
Wow. So you saying there's a lot of sisters to choose from, so might as well choose the best.
You might as well. I mean, it's crazy. And even if she can't cook, that's something that she could learn to do, at least want to make an effort to cook. And you say, a lot of women think that makes them less than a woman. I mean, what qualifies you as a woman then? Because a woman is supposed to make sure that everybody in her family is safe, is healthy. You're the nurse and the doctor. So, if you're not able to do that, then what kind of woman are you really, if you don't even have the desire to do that?
So wait a minute, because now what you're saying is, in the modern context, it's revolutionary. I think if this was 1950, everybody would sit around and be shaking their head. Yeah, everybody knows that. Why we even sitting there and talking about this? But in 2012, year of the Peckerwood, to say that if a black woman cannot cook or is not willing to learn to cook, mm-hmm. what kind of woman is she anyway? Do you understand that would set off riots among black women? If it was a room full of 1,000 black women, you might have 15 to 20 of them that might raise their hand and agree with you, if they wasn't afraid to get beat up by the rest of the 950. So how do you come to that conclusion in the modern context?
How I came to that conclusion is just through, personal experience. My family is very healthy, and there have been times when they've had, serious health issues, and I've had to know what to do to be able to resolve those problems. And that came not through a doctor or anything like that. That came through cooking and natural medicine and things like that. You see all these children walking around here and they're obese, they're overweight, all this kind of stuff. And the mother says, oh, it's not my fault. But you see them giving them Doritos and hot dogs and all this nonsense. you see all these brothers dying young. It's brothers 30 years old dying of heart attacks. A lot.
So wait a minute. Now, because now I know if we had any sisters who was listening to the station, I think we just lost them. But that's all right. That's right. We gonna recruit some more, because what I'm hearing you say, you didn't say it directly, but I believe, and you correct me if I'm wrong, you're saying that black women bear a part of the responsibility of the lack of health of not just black children, but even black men, because they're not cooking in the homes.
I think so. I mean, a lot of black men will fight you when you're trying to, cook healthy meals. But if you know how to cook a healthy meal and make it not weird and not strange and taste good, he'll eat it. So, that's on you. You have to look, if your whole family is messed up and it's your job to be taking care of that. As a woman, you are the nurturer, then something's wrong.
All right. Well, let me ask you a question, because this way it can get really sticky. If you're talking about meals. For me, for instance, I'm getting fat, and so what I've been doing, I've been trying to. I'm literally at the point where I'm almost about to break and at least go to vegetarianism or something, because I can't shed this stomach the way I used to be able to. I can go run for one day back in the day and I can get rid of it. And I don't want. I'm never gonna be a fat man. I can't let it happen. Particularly can't say want to rise and be a fat man. That just doesn't. Those two don't go together. So, but I know for a lot of black men, it is a war. If you start talking about, you ain't putting no meat on the table. I mean, if he can't have a barbecue chicken, if he can't have some fish, if he can't have some pork or some spare ribs or something like that, my question is, what's the balance with, okay, I'm cooking healthy, should we just go absolutely vegan? Or what's the balance where you can say, okay, I can cook healthy for my man, but I can still maybe make some fish or chicken or whatever. Okay, where's the balance in that process?
It's a process. You can't go vegetarian overnight. I think I gave up pork in 95. I didn't become vegetarian until, 2005, I think. So it's a process. But if you're going to do it, you just want to eat it less and less and less. I mean, maybe eat meat 3 times a week or something like that. And when you do eat meat, get the best quality. Get the Amish meat, the organic meat. Spend money on it. If you're not going to be eating it all the time, spend money on it and get the best that you can get.
But I'm talking about from the perspective of, all right, you got a sister there that says, I want us to eat healthy. Mm-hmm. And the man, he don't really care if it's healthy or not, as long as it tastes good, pretty much. She would just go vegan if she could do it. Mm-hmm. But he ain't going to go vegan.
Right.
What does she do as the woman to make sure she's still doing healthy, but understanding that how far she can push that? I mean, how do you work that situation?
You just have to experiment and see where your man's head is. I mean, for the most part, as long as what I make, if it tastes good, he's going to eat it. He just leave me alone to do whatever I'm going to do. So if you start making crazy stuff and everything is tofu, then you're going to have issues. But if you're making actual food, look at some different nationalities, Middle Eastern food, Indian food, a lot of African food even can be made without meat, made with vegetables, and it'll be very satisfying. So start doing that.
I want to tell you on this one. I'm 40, so this was 8 years ago. I had a collapsed artery. This is before I met
your queen.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. By the way, this is Brother David Muhammad, our brother live in studio with us as well. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And I had a collapsed artery, and at the time, wasn't eating pork, wasn't eating chicken, wasn't eating any red meat of any kind. I was still eating fish at the time.
And bean pie for dinner.
Yeah, I eat a lot of bean pies. But it just hit me. I dropped my daughters off at my friend's house, and I turned around, fell flat on my face. Too many ambulance took me to the hospital, ran EKG on me. EKG was up and down. They didn't exactly know what was wrong. They had to go in, put a camera through my main vein, and found I had a collapsed artery. I thought I was healthy. Picture of health. Looked good, felt good, ate good, but that wasn't the case. And when I met the sister, I was just getting into vegetarianism. I was still eating fish, but I was.
Y'all should see. We supposed to be talking about working, but I saw a little disagreement there. I said, she said, that's how you tell the story now.
I was leaning towards it, but when I told her about it, she really, helped me. When I first met her, My hair in the front was gray. My sideburns getting gray back, in the back of my head. I actually, a sign of heart problems is when you start balding in the back. So I was losing my hair up top. It was because of my heart. I was having issues. And it's been 7 years almost, 7 years. And no more gray. Jeannie can bear witness. He's looking at me right now.
I'm looking. It don't look like you're in the hair club for men. He just got it right.
Yeah, got it right. My hair is growing back. My artery is healed. Got ultrasound. And actually, they had to put a stent in to open up my artery. But it said in maybe like 25 years that stent will pass and my artery's healed. And that's because of diet. Now, I do fight her. No doubt about that.
Okay.
Like she had some cookies in the car she's supposed to give you. She wasn't happy about them. So I'm going to eat them cookies.
Oh, you get the, okay.
She wasn't too happy with
She a
I'm
perfectionist.
going to eat them. Yes, sir, exactly. But, I still eat my stuff, but I make sure that it's what she makes. Eating junk food or cookies or cakes or pies made by your wife is 20, 30 times better than eating it from the grocery store made by the devil. And I mean, it tastes better. It don't last. You got to eat it a lot faster because all that additives and preservatives. But it's good. Even though it's junk food, it's good junk food because it's made by your queen. It's made by your spouse. And, she uses good ingredients. She takes care of it. But my point is that the sister, that having your queen prepare your food and have your queen prepare your food. Don't question. Have her make the junk food. Don't question. Just if the queen has your best interest in heart, just follow.
She gonna keep you alive.
Yes, sir. Follow her diet.
But
it'll be all good.
It is a process though, because we had to kind of feel our way through it, because I had to realize that when you come down on a brother and stress him out over certain things and fight with him, you're doing more damage. Because there was a time where I was so bad that he would go to the store and buy potato chips and keep them in the trunk. And then when he went to work, he said sometimes he would look around to make sure I wasn't there. Like I was going to be at his job.
You for my wife. She's going to jump out the ceiling or something.
Because it was that crazy. So you have to find a balance, and that was our balance. Okay, you can have the junk food, but I'm going to make it so I can make sure that there's no MSG and high fructose corn syrup and things in there. So for the sisters, you just have to research and find out, what's bad. You can make everything, at home that you would make in a package. You don't have to buy rice-a-roni. You can cook some rice and broth and some seasonings and make your own very easily. I mean, just simple stuff like that. So it's not hard, but that's one thing that sisters definitely need to start doing. And
brothers have to support her. You have to support your queen if she's doing that for you. You have to support her.
Now I got a question. Y'all, this ain't no friction. This is all warm and this is wonderful. I got a question now. Y'all gonna be able to answer it fine, but this is a real question for a lot of people, particularly most of our listeners are either nationalists, strong black Muslims who are like nationalists, or black people who are getting this information and they're gonna tend to go in one of these directions. Which means we got probably 75 to 80% male listenership, if not more, and relatively pro-violence, if I can say. I'm just being quite honest. We don't have the kind of people that are turn the other type cheap thinkers. Not that they're all alpha males, but my point is, you have people who are aggressive, definitively anti-white, and the earlier you are in coming to this information, I think to some degree, the less you're able to really hold your anger. My question, because I think I know this is serious. What do you have to say for sisters that are dealing with a man who's coming into his consciousness, or he is in his consciousness? He has a Haitianness or a strong black mentality and a strong anti-white mentality. The reason I ask you that question, because that intensity can be way too much for a lot of sisters, and it destroys a lot of black relationships. Brothers will complain that the family doesn't, they want to call him by his slave name. He don't want to be called by a slave name. And then he don't want to go over there if the Negroes are going to act like Negroes. Or he don't want his daughter dressed a certain way now. Now that he's seeing things, he wants stuff to change. He doesn't want a certain type of stuff being watched on TV. And so now the sister's like, we watch TV every day of our lives before, but now all of a sudden you don't want us to have cable. And brothers can almost create like a cocoon of the world they think we want to be, but it can kind of create hostility among black women. It's like, okay, I feel like I'm in like a no social zone. I'm losing my friends and all that kind of stuff. How do you navigate that type of situation?
Wow. Well, see, it's a little different. I think I'm the extremist in our relationship. He's the lover. I'm the fighter. He's the one trying to hold me back. But I would say, you have to, number one, create a peaceful environment. I think in the last show I talked about, when he comes home, give him some time to transition from his job. Like run him a aromatherapy bath with some kind of soothing aromatherapy. Let him take that 20 minutes just soak in the tub so that he can get rid of whatever has bothered him that day and he can be better for you and your children. That's something I do and I think it really helps the vibe of the household. And, also you have to, like I said, if you're going to be with him, you have to submit. You have to do what he says do. I mean, not if he's telling you to do something wrong, but if he's making sense in what he's saying. If he doesn't want you to watch something on television because it's degenerate, then you have to do what he says do.
All right, so okay, I'm gonna get into this, and I'm gonna go back to that question, but that's a really good point. So, okay, would you? My first question, because this is something, and because your personalities might be a little different, since it might be hard for you to answer, but for most of our listeners, you got these alpha male aggressive black men,
right?
And they love these women to death, but they hate crackers to death. And that's basically a lot of their conversation because they're looking at our condition as a race of people. We kind of feel the urgency of it, and they really highly focused on that. How can a sister who's dealing with that kind of man, but if she's not the kind that's that kind of way, how does she navigate that?
Part of being a good wife, sometimes I should not be saying this in a room full of dudes, but
you about to be, hey brother, tune in the ears, turn it up.
Part of being a good wife is some righteous deception, not deception where you're doing something wrong, but righteous deception. So sometimes you have to pretend to be listening when you're not. Sometimes you have to be, pretend to be interested when you're not. And that goes a long way. Let him vent, let him get it out. When you get tired of listening, just let it go in one ear and out the other. Nod, yes, dear. Rub his back. Yeah, pretend.
You know what? I think you and Sister Never Tired must be talking because we was just on the plane and I was talking and she was just going like this and then I started seeing her eyes closing. And some said, I don't think she's listening. But I kept talking anyway. Okay, so she righteously deceived me.
That's right.
Okay.
But it made you feel good.
I felt good. She won't listen, but I felt like I was having somebody else to talk to.
Right. So I think that goes a long way. But, I mean, also you have to take an interest in what the other person is into. You can't just, that's how you grow apart is when you're like, well, whatever, I don't care about that. Even if you're not the least bit interested, you have to at least have a basic knowledge, a basic foundation of the things that your partner is interested in, male and female, so that you can at least still relate to that person. So. Okay,
can a conscious, strong, black-minded person make it with a person who does not want to have anything to do with consciousness?
Ooh. It's hard. Are there children involved?
Either way.
It's going to be hard if you have children. It's going to be, and I would not recommend having children if you haven't with somebody like that because your life will be hell. It's going to be a fight. Every single decision that you make is just going to be a war. So if you don't have children, I wouldn't. But it's hard because when you have that kind of philosophy and that kind of view, that's really the center of your life. That's what you eat, breathe. I mean, I could be talking about Barbie dolls or something, and 5 minutes later, I hate crackers is going to come out some kind of way. Like I could be talking about something totally unrelated, and it still comes back to that. And him, sometimes I see his post on Facebook, and he's like, "I hate crackers." I'm like, "But you working around all brothers? Why are you talking about white people? Ain't nobody around you. What are you talking about?"
It's not work around.
Right.
But even without it, it's just in you. You just feel like once a day you got to say, "I hate crackers." Right. So it's just.
I work with some evil peccables.
Yes, sir.
I work with 3 evil ones.
So yeah, I think that's so it may be able to work, but the chances are not good. It's already, when you get into a relationship, a black male female relationship with the dynamics, it's already hard to make it work. But when you don't have that in common, good luck.
Well, let me complicate the question, because realistically, I would say probably 25% of the relationships start with two people, one is conscious, one is not, and then they make the decision to have children,
Right.
and they have to work it out, and like you said, it can be a real problem. But the other 75%, they start off, neither one of them is conscious.
Right.
And they have children before one of them becomes conscious.
Right.
Do it for me both ways. A black man who becomes conscious, and let's say a brother is listening right now, and he's conscious, and he's all into it. He wore on the horizon every single night. And this woman is like, oh, God, why did you want me to sit there? Let's do it. What would your advice be for that sister? And then after that, we're going to flip it and say there's a sister that's worn on the horizon all the time. Got a really good guy. He works every day. He does the right. He's a good man. But he ain't never bit more interested in the war on the horizon than war on the dusk. He don't want to hear nothing about that. What is your advice for the sister in both of those situations?
For the man dating a sister that's not into it, that's hard, because you have to be the man in a relationship. And I've seen where when the woman is not into it, be it she's in a church or she's in a mosque, she's all into her minister or her imam or whatever. And that basically becomes her man. She's married to Jesus. She's married to Allah. She's married to her leader. And, how does that make you really feel as a man when you say, okay, we're going to do this, but my minister said, minister the man in your house. So, you got to think about that. Do what you got to do. If you're okay with that, fine. But if you're okay with that, maybe you ain't as strong as you think you are either. For a woman who's into it and her man's not, that's going to be very hard, because in order to kind of be submissive, you have to feel like your husband is intelligent and maybe even on some subjects knows a little bit more than you know. And honestly, if you're really into War on the Horizon and your husband does not care about, white people, the struggle, anything, sooner or later you're going to be looking at him like an idiot. Just straight up. 9 times out of 10. You might respect him as far as a breadwinner or whatever, but we're talking about life and death and the survival of the race. And if he's not into it, then I know after a while I'm going to lose respect for him, because I'm trying to see my children live and thrive and,
So at the end of the day, what I'm hearing you say is, for one conscious person, it's just a bad idea to be with somebody who's not conscious. Whether you came into it later or earlier, it's just a bad idea to be with someone who is not also conscious.
It's going to be hard. I think it's easier for a man with a woman that's not into it, especially like if she's still tries to be decent, she's still taking care of home, she's still taking care of the man, and she's just not into it, but she's willing to support him in it, which is rare. But if she's that kind of person, then fine, it's cool. But if not, it's going to be hard.
So then when you say willing to support him in it, how does a woman, because we'll have sisters listening now, and I know that there's some sisters who are listening who, again, they love their man, they know he's a good man, but quite frankly, he's all into this stuff, and they scared. Because they're like, I don't know what's going to happen to my man, because he loves this. And some of them even got a little bit of competitiveness, because they like, this is first to him. And I should be first to him, and he should be with me, not out there reading and studying or calling the thing and everything like that. How does that woman, if she's not ever, let's say she's just not so inclined to be into this really, on a practical basis, how does she still support him and keep that as a working relationship and with the children and things of that nature?
You can't stand in his way. Point blank, whether you're into it or not, you can't get in his way. You have to let him do what he's going to do. If he's got to go to meetings, if he has to travel, whatever he's got to do, you have to support him in it. You can't be the one always wanting to hold him back, always wanting time. And I said this on the first show, if you say that you want a man that's doing something and you get a man that's doing something, then you have to let him do something. Not only should he not stop doing what he's doing just to accommodate you, you're not going to respect him if he does. If I was with him and all of a sudden he stopped doing everything, I said, oh, you're not home enough, whatever. And he just said, okay, well, I'm going to quit my job and I'm going to stay here with you. And First of all, I'm going to get tired. No woman wants somebody up there all the time. You got to run your house. But second of all, you're not going to respect them because I'm going to be like, dang, that's all I had to do was ask you and you just stopped everything at the drop of a dime. I'm supposed to be following you, not the other way around. So,
Ooh, now wait a minute. Now you really. You just throwing minefields out here now. Now you just said something. Okay. You say I'm supposed to be following you.
mm-hmm.
Now, a lot of people, I've even heard it in the African Center movement, they say we're not supposed to be, nobody's supposed to be leading. We're supposed to be walking together side by side. But you saying something very different. You saying the man should be leading the way.
Mm-hmm.
Break that down for me. Tell me why it's not side to side and why it is the man leading the way. Why is that?
There's always a rank. I mean, in the Nation of Islam, it's a captain and lieutenant. We say that the husband's a captain, wife's lieutenant. Husband gives the orders, you carry them out. That's what it is. And if you have a problem with that, like I said, it goes to a poor selection in your mate. You have bad judgment, and maybe you should choose again and try to do a little bit better. I have no problem if he says, don't do something, don't do it. Because I know I have that kind of man. I don't have to worry about it. He's not going to have me doing something crazy because he cares about me and wants what's best for me and the family. So, I mean, that just is what it is. I used to get teased a lot. Sometimes there was a radio station that he used to go to when he used to sell papers, and they would publicize him a lot. And one time we were at an event, and he was walking in front of me. And the next day he was like, yeah, I saw Brother David's wife, and, she was looking all right, but she was walking behind him and all this kind of stuff. But what they don't realize is it's a crowd of people. So it makes sense for him to walk in front of me to provide protection so nobody's trying to grab me or accidentally on purpose bump into me or whatever. That's common chivalry and protection, and that's something that not just black women, women in general, the whole feminist movement has killed that whole idea of chivalry. They don't want a gentleman, they don't want to be protected or looked after, and that's a problem, but then they complain when they're not at the same time. I'm a strong woman, I don't need a man, but men ain't nothing at the same time. It makes no sense.
Wow. Okay, so the man should be, I like you said, the man is the captain, the woman is the lieutenant.
Yeah, we also say, and it's not like a Taliban situation or something like that. They say the man is the head, but the woman is the neck. You can direct the head, but you have to do it in a feminine manner. It's not like I don't have any say at home, but it's all in the way you do it. I'm not going to be like, well, we going to do this. No, it's a way to do that. Bake him some cookies and whisper in his ear, and then, wouldn't it be nice if we did this? That's how you get
it. And it's done. He done right. 2 or 3 things past that. Cause yes, man. I remember the old folks used to have a saying that was real similar. They say, the woman, if she knows what she's doing, she can get anything she wants. Mm-hmm. That's all she got to do is be a woman. She can get anything she wants. She know how to do it. She know how to really be a woman. So, okay, I'm appreciating it. We got another 10 minutes before we go to the lines. We almost at the 9 o'clock hour. So, I want to ask you another hard question. This is a hard question. When is it the right time for a conscious man to look at the woman he has and say, I cannot do this? Or for a conscious sister to look, somebody who knows what's going on, and when do you know that you have somebody that you can't go to the next level? You can't continue.
It's hard for me to say because I'm not a man, but I would say when you feel that she is just in your way, I'd say pay attention. If she has children, look at how she deals with the children's father. If she has a father, see how she deals with them. See how she looks at men in general. If she's just generally disrespectful to them, she's going to be disrespectful to you too. Don't even bother with it. A lot of times you see somebody with their baby daddy taking them to court and all this stuff, and you think it's not going to be you. It will be you. Leave them alone. For a woman, you just know. When you've had enough, you know. So that really doesn't need any explanation. When you get that feeling, you know.
So a woman knows, I can't do this no more. It ain't going to work.
It just comes a point when you just had it, and that's it.
So, okay, from a woman's perspective, I'm a brother, you a sister, and what is it that a woman's going to do that'll be a sign that I can read? Ain't no amount of time going to change. What is it? What is it that you all give signs that if a man knows how to read, he can say, okay, I can't change this. You know, is there a sign of something that a woman does that a man can look at and say, okay, this is something that we can work on? Or is there some good example? Let me ask you a question. This might get more nailing down what I'm talking about. I've dealt with sisters before who can't be wrong about anything. Mm-hmm. No matter what it is, they just never wrong about nothing. I've dealt with brothers like that too. You can't tell him nothing. He always right about everything. And if you try to bring up something, there's going to be a war because they came on them. And I always say you got to be real cautious with folks like that because you gotta watch and see what they do. If that's what they say, but then you start noticing them pull back on the back end, say, okay, maybe this is a person with a little bit of humility somewhere in their personality. But if they stay right there and everything like that, then you got to say, how far can I go? Because they're not going to accept criticism. They're not going to accept it. You know. So there's certain things, you know. What is it that a woman does that a man can look at and say, okay, I'm a conscious black man. I'm trying to be progressive. I got to let it go. This ain't going to happen.
I mean, like I said, when there's no peace, when she's fighting you on everything, you know, you could say, get me a glass of water. And she's like, what you mean, get you a glass of water? You ask me not to say please. Why I got to get you all that kind of foolishness. You kind of know she don't respect you. It should probably be a wrap. You know, sometimes it gets severe. Sometimes she might, you know, call the police on you, turn you in for something. I mean, it gets crazy, all kinds of things. So
if a woman calls the police on you and you have not put your hands on her, mm-hmm. That's a sign you need to hit the door.
I would say if she does that and there's no remorse, I mean, because...
wait a minute. So you saying I got to get arrested and then come home and see if she feel remorseful? I can't just walk out the door and stay?
The reason
can't call my mama and say, Mama, I'm at the station, come get me. I'm staying with you. And I'll be staying with you for a minute.
The only reason I say that is because we're dealing with unconscious women. And she may not have had it explained to her that anytime you call the police, you're putting his life in danger.
Well, let's not say we're dealing with unconscious women.
Okay.
The reason I say that is because, and maybe I'm wrong, you correct me if I'm wrong, mm-hmm. Correct me. I have been watching over the last 10, 15 years the behavior between a conscious woman and a non-conscious woman is so difficult to... What I mean is, an unconscious woman can be very humble and appreciative to her man, but she just don't believe the stuff he's talking about. Mm-hmm. And then a conscious woman can be all 100% conscious, but disrespectful, doesn't want to cook, don't want to do... And I don't see that consciousness... I'm even seeing it with even with Muslim. You know, generally with Islam, you know, a sister's going to be respectful to the man. I'm seeing stuff now. I'm like, I see him out in public sometimes, and the sister's kind of aggressive, and the man, I'm like, am I seeing things right? So, in general, just generalize it for women. You know what I'm saying?
I'd say that would be a pretty good indication. Because like I said, anytime the police is called on you, whether you did something or not, whether they arrest you or not, anytime the police are in the vicinity, your life is in danger. You could do nothing and they could shoot you up. How many shows have we had on this subject?
We just did a show last week where the sister called the police, the brother goes into the police to find out what the situation was. Right. They murder him in the police station.
Right. And I said,
he goes to the police station. Right. You're right. And
turns himself in to see.
Now, when we did that show,
mm-hmm.
You listened to that show.
Yes.
Were you thinking that the whole time?
I was just so angry I couldn't think anything, but yeah, I did. I'm like, you know, because it was all over this girlfriend who had a very questionable relationship, I felt, with that cop. He was white, right? The cop. Mm-hmm. Very, very questionably close relationship with that cop. And then, like I said, it's all because she called the police. And I was thinking about that the whole time. And that's why when you came to me, I was just like, I really ain't got anything to say because it's ridiculous.
And I'll be honest, I did not want to turn the attention away from the police officer that murdered the brother and turn it into a male-female show. Mm-hmm. But from the very beginning, when they said that she called the police to try to get him in trouble, mm-hmm. it really, really, really stung because I said, wow. So she calls the police and now this man is dead.
Yep.
And I have seen this kind of thing from the job situations to just life in general where the brother that did his taxes, he said she called the police or the IRS. You don't call the IRS on the black man. Okay, so what about for sisters? What is it? Is there a thing that a man does that you absolutely, because I know for a lot of sisters, and I'm not putting words in their mouth, but like a lot of sisters say, I don't want my man to cheat on me, but a man sometimes be a man, so they don't want it. They don't tell a man to go deal with it, but that might be something they may or may not be able to work through. Mm-hmm. But are there some absolute, if your man does this, you cut him off?
Oh, of course. And I'm going to deal with some of that a little bit on my next show next week. But I think if he's disrespectful of you severely, just no respect. I mean, everybody has a bad day, but if you are...
Give me an example when you say disrespectful.
Calling you out your name, unwilling to protect you, just, usually a man if he cares about a woman, he has some kind of instinct to want to protect her, keep her safe. He just don't care. He's letting you do whatever. He sees somebody disrespect you, he don't say nothing. He just like, whatever. That's a problem. Just anything like that is really bad to me.
All right, I'm going to ask a question. And this is One Horizon. It's an adult show. And I'm not trying to, this is not no Jerry Springer or nothing, but this is real. We talking real talk now. I'm going to bring this up because this kind of thing happens. Mm-hmm. I mean, and it don't matter conscious or not, again. If your man decides he wants to do something different and bring somebody else into you all's sexual relationship.
Let it go.
Let what go?
The relationship.
That right there is good enough to say I'm done with it.
That's done.
Tell me why.
Number one, because he's not even respecting you enough. If you're going to do dirt, look, I mean, it's two kinds of women. Some women can deal with, men with other women. They call it polygamy. It's really not polygamy, but, some people can deal with that. Other people want monogamy. So if you got a monogamous woman and you're going to do your dirt, you can at least have a common respect and decency to do like your granddad did and have another family on the other side of the city where you don't meet, and it's just cool. My granddaddy did. He got a whole other family. I don't know. That's one thing. He had the respect not to necessarily bring that around us. But if he's going to not only let you know about it, but have it in your bed, and basically by bringing her in the bed, he's not expecting you to just lay there and not do anything. He's expecting some homosexual behavior, basically turning you out. You got to let that go.
So even if he suggests it, you saying if a man asks a woman that or tries to convince her to do that, that's enough for him to say, a woman to say, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
Now, I know it sounds for some of our people like that's a ridiculous question.
No, that's not.
But with the world that we're growing up in, I just want people out there that don't know. This is far more prevalent than you have any idea about it. I'm going to just go ahead and be honest. I would say under 40, I would say probably 75% of black women have tried some kind of other than me with a man type sexual experience. And a substantial percentage of those were introduced to a black woman by a man. And so he introduced it. But now it goes the opposite way. Now, what about for a man? Now, I got to ask this question. A man, he's dating a sister. He really likes this sister. He's really into her. And she says, hey, I want to try X, Y, and Z kind of freaky deaky or whatever. Mm-hmm. Is that enough for a man to say, I'm done? Or does a man have to figure out what's driving her to that? Is it society that's pushing her that way? And does he say, no, sister, we're not going to do it that way? How should a man handle that?
Well, I always get in trouble when I tell you I'm going to answer things in two different ways, but I am. Firstly, I would say it depends on the man because we're assuming that the man's not into that. And a lot of times the men are into that. So we're assuming that the man is not into that. If the man is not into that, I would say talk to her because a lot of times women try these things trying to impress a man.
That's true.
I think you had asked me a couple weeks ago, about black women and white women's sexuality being very similar, and I said, well, I mean, we got to compete. If you want a black man, you got to compete with them.
Whoa.
And so black men have put us in that kind of position where a whore is our, competition. That's what you want, and that's what you're getting. So it might not even be that she wants to do it. She might think that that's cute. I think. Oh, and I'm so glad I didn't come to your job that day. Some woman, I think just last week. You said, what did she say? Did you want to hit it from the back or something crazy to him?
That was a sister.
Yeah, who was married.
Yeah.
And thought that was just a cute thing to say. He's like, you really talk to people like that? She's like, yeah, men like it. What are you talking about? So sometimes I think it's just for attention, even though she probably would have did it. But sometimes it's just for attention. So you have to kind of see where her mind state is at. And maybe if she sees you're not into that, she won't be. But if she has engaged in that long enough, then she might like it and it might be too much.
Okay, so if a brother tries to get a sister involved in it, it's enough for a woman that ain't into that to say, hey, I'm out of here because I see where he's trying to go with this. He ain't really serious about me. If a sister asks a man, he really got to investigate because society has got her at the point she may be trying to say, hey, this is what he wants anyway. I'm trying to do what he wants me to do.
Because it goes back to the gender role where the man is supposed to be the leader. So if the man's trying to lead you into some kind of perverse homosexuality, he's not qualified to be the leader. Let him go. But a woman just trying to please a man, may go that right route. You just have to get her back on a straight path.
Okay. I think that's a very good answer. We lost some calls when we started. Some of the calls dropped when we started having this. Some guilty parties started. But I gotta go now. I'm a little busy now, but no.
I said you have to assume that the men are not into that. That's a big assumption.
Yeah, but and let me give out the phone lines here because this is an excellent conversation. 760-569-7676. 760-569-7676. The participation code 948-656-pound. That's 948-656-pound. Right, we're about to go to our phone lines now. We at our 9 o'clock hour. But before we do, I want to ask you one last question. And this is a generic question. Okay. What advice do you have for black women if they have a man and they're trying to help make that a stronger man and help their relationship work? Mm-hmm. So let me tell you why. Let me say why I'm asking this question. You got a lot of brothers that are out there that are just brothers. They just a man. In his life, he grew up thinking, I'm supposed to take care of my woman and my child. That's what he wants to do. He may not be conscious, but he's a good guy. May have a little bit of consciousness or whatever the case may be. He's a decent man. If he's with a woman that can appreciate a man and push a man to do better, he's going to be a great guy. But maybe he didn't grow up with the father, so he wants to be that good man and everything like that so that he has holes that a woman can poke because he's so interested in being a good father, she can manipulate him if she wants to because he's so desiring to do that. He don't want nothing to happen to mess with this woman. He's not going to check her and everything like that. How does a woman, when she gets this just basic, bare bones, good black man, he ain't interested in no white females no more than any normal brother would be. That ain't what he is. He got his woman. He's an honest man. He works hard. He ain't going to be out there smoking and drinking. He's just a good dude that a lot of women will overlook. How does a black woman take that guy, prevent from getting in a bunch of mess, and make him a better man, help him to become a better man? How does she do that?
Number one is your mouth, because we as women have a tendency to feel like I don't want my man to get a big head, so I'm not going to, feed his ego at all, which is one of the biggest problems or the biggest mistakes you can make, because black men should have big egos. That's healthy for them. And it's like I said on the last show, it's amazing that black men have any ego left with everything that they go through. So instead of always trying to, put him down or act like his accomplishments aren't that big of a deal, you should be boosting him up. You should be saying, you're the best, or what you did was good. I appreciate this. You did a good job doing that. I'm so impressed with this. If he's messing up, he's not doing as good, you can tell him, I expect great things from you. I see your potential. You can do better than this. I expect more from a man like you. I mean, you can say it in a way that's not like, good, I can't even say, all that kind of stuff. So,
I think we know what you was getting at.
So you can first of all start by controlling your mouth, and then, like I said, just getting behind him, trying to support him, and like I said, don't be the one that's bringing him down. Try to be the one that's boosting him up.
Okay. I think that's real. I think that's very reasonable. I think that that makes a whole lot of sense, and I think it's something we can work with. I'm going to go to our phone lines now. Again, the phone line, 760-569-7676, 760-569-7676. Participation code 948-656-pound. That's 948-656-pound. We having an outstanding conversation on the Warren Horizon program tonight with Lady Shabazz as she's dropping that knowledge. So we're going to go right. We're going to hit them hard from the top. My brother, been a minute since we talked. How you doing? Body shots in the house.
What's that, Black man?
How you doing, soldier?
Doing pretty good.
Yes, sir. You holding it down on that battlefield, brother?
No doubt, no doubt.
Yes, sir. I hear a little queen in the background, so that make me feel good. I got mine back there, too. We still got some brothers and sisters trying to keep the race alive.
Oh, yeah.
You enjoying the show so far, brother?
I was saying the show. I didn't know y'all was doing a show on me, but...
Yes, sir. We picked you specifically to do a show on, brother.
All I need to know is, how can I get this track or the CD? Because every time we have a family vacation, this is going right in the display.
You want in there, you trying to make somebody don't like One Horizon, brother. Good gracious. Oh, you know we can make that happen. So let me ask you a question. You're hearing what the sister is saying. What if she said anything that really, really strongly resonates with you?
Yes. Yes. For one, the fact that there's a definite distinction between the role of a man and a woman. When she talked about the captain, lieutenant, and Hurricane was in front of her. She wasn't shy or back down from a woman's role in relation to her king. And the second one was, I'm trying to remember what the second one was. I can't remember the second one off the top.
Okay. Now let me ask you this, since you're on the line, because it's something we had talked about before. And I think it's a great question to ask, because you would probably be a prime example of a person who has come into a lot of their consciousness recently. And when that happens, if you're a fighter and a warrior, the first thing that happens is you get so intense with it, it becomes your full life, and you quickly transform as a person and take this on. Now, here's my question. And I want your perspective on this. All right. And of course, she's going to be hard to ask this question because she would probably love this. But you get a brother. He's got a queen. They get along great. He becomes conscious. She's conscious or not conscious. But now he's intensely on this thing. What can he do to not overload his woman and queen with it, because he's now super intensely in it? Or is it no way for that to happen? Is it for her to do something? Or what's the balance? How did that work out?
It's a balance. I mean, first of all, I'm surprised that he's newly conscious, because he seemed like he's been in it for a minute. So that says a lot. But, we are all crazy and out of our mind when we first get it. You would not have wanted to be around me when I first got into the Nation of Islam. I mean, it's horrible. That's why I'm surprised now people want to hear me talk, because back then, people was like, look, they treat me like a Jehovah's Witness. I'm going to hide under the table, whatever. We do get very intense with it. But over time, it wears off. But what you need to do is get some like-minded friends and talk to them about it a lot, and maybe not so much to your spouse. Talk to your spouse a little bit to let her know what's going on in your mind, but get some friends.
I think if you want to talk about a 10, out of every question you asked, I think that one was a 10 out of 10. Because I can say, being conscious and really being into this, if your mate, I have a little bit of better situation with Sister Nefertari since she in this too. But what I had to notice there too, I had to do that. I had to call the brother sometime and everything, because she just be sitting there like, look, I got a 10-month-old baby that I got to take care of, and you spending, because I was spending 2-3 hours talking about the next, this is the next plan we going to do, plotting out the strategy for race war across. And she was like, look, could you call, she said it to me, she's like, look, could you call the brother and talk to him? I said, okay, I understand. I think that that's an excellent program answer, because if a person ain't into this the same way we are, I know for years, mine wasn't no 1 year. I probably spent 15 years debilitating people hearing me talk about this race stuff until I found the organization I could be in, and then we love talking about it. It alleviated all the friends from having to hear it, and my mama and everybody else. Right. So I think that's a great answer, yes.
I mean, it's very true. Like, that's the only way, like, we would have to, if anything happened to him, I don't know what I would do, because that's all we talk about. He's really my only close friend, because my friends don't want to hear it. They don't.
My friends definitely don't want to hear it. Not even the Muslims don't want to hear it.
I mean, Muslims.
Scientology. Oh, I ain't even go there.
See, man, he's trying to get us in trouble. Now we gonna post up on Dianetics. See, now we gonna lose. He trying to lose my good Nation of Islam listenership. I see what's going on here. This is a setup, brothers and sisters. It was a setup from the beginning.
But it's true. I've had my friends, MGT, tell me I'm racist. And I'm like, are you kidding me? So.
Wait.
I'm dead serious.
You know what? I'm not going to, because this thing about to turn another direction, because I seen a video recently that messed me up so bad that I ain't going to even go that direction. But wait, I do got to ask. You telling me you got people in the Nation of Islam that are telling you that you are racist?
Yeah, people that actually call the white man the devil and all that stuff, say I'm too hung up on it and I'm racist. The things I say are racist.
Brother Body Shot, you got anything else for us, man?
I remember the second point that resonated. The sister Jabaz talked about what she would encourage different sisters to do things like run bath water, cook, clean, or whatever it is. Keep the house in order. Their response would be, "Oh, he don't deserve it." Like that type of attitude. But that was the second thing that resonated with me. I mean, why would you even be in a relationship, as you said, with somebody that you don't even consider putting that type of energy into? But my question, though, before I got off the line, how does a female or a male not having that experience and seeing the interaction that should take place between a strong black man and a strong black woman, how do they recreate that or create that in their own homes when they haven't been exposed to that?
Trial and error. I mean, I wasn't exposed to it. I was not exposed to that. And even, before I met my husband, I have a very strong, dominant personality, and it took somebody
No!
Very...
No, you gotta be kidding me. I just don't believe that. I just can't see that. One Horizon, DJ was a strong, overbearing person. I just can't believe that.
So it took somebody kind of wise to be able to tone that down and kind of balance it out a little bit. So and it's trial and error, because it's not like I'm perfect. I do my stuff, but I'm conscious enough, and I have enough of a conscience to know when I'm doing that and take it down a notch and apologize. And my bad, I shouldn't have did that, because we're human.
Brother Body Shots?
This is an awesome show. I'm going to go ahead and sign off.
Look, when you got Brother Body Shots quiet, you giving some good answers. When that brother just sitting there contemplating, I can hear you thinking. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I mean, a true nationalist, a warrior that's ready to get his boots down on his concrete and bang with these crackers, it's kind of counterproductive when nation building begins with family. So how can you divorce your family and say you fight for nationhood? I'm really in a position to try to find that balance right now.
Well, I think the important thing, and that's why I was asking the sister before, when you're doing it, you have to have some kind of things that you can use to determine, is this possible to continue to work? One thing is, I think she gave excellent. If you get friends, then the constant dialogue, that no longer becomes an issue. Because I think a lot of times that can overwhelm a person that's not the same passion that we have. I know from personal experience. The second piece of it, though, is, and I don't have the answer to it, that's why we had a sister doing the show, but there's got to be a way to say, okay, I'm looking at this where we are, I know where I'm going, what can I take? Is this partner going to be able, can we work this out? Now, what the precise measurements of that are, I don't know. But I know there's some ways to say, hey, there's potential in this because of these things. In other words, if there's still male-female respect, if she still respects you as a man, if you make decisions, no, we can't do this because this, and we can work those kind of things out. Those are all good signs we can move that direction. Distance, lack of respect, constant undermining statements, those are all negative signs. Constant fighting with the thing that you love most. So if a brother or sister is out there listening to the one horizon all the time, and the companion is complaining about it or trying to find things to do right when something like that is happening, then that becomes an issue. Because you say, okay, the person, it's not that I'm going a direction and they're not necessarily going, but it's they're fighting the direction I'm going. So there's a lot of different things that have to happen, but the most important thing is if you have somebody, I think, that has humility and is open-minded, I think that's the best combination of things you can have. Because an open-minded woman who has some humility will give most things a try. And I'm not even really talking about your specific situation, but this is for everybody out there that I'm talking to when I say this. This is something that we have to be able to do. It's going to be more important for our relationships, and we're going to be quote-unquote nationalists or conscious people, or whatever we want to call ourselves. We say we Haitianists. If we can't make no money doing what we're doing, and if we cannot build success, quite frankly, most of our relationships are going to suffer. And this ain't nothing personal, but we have to be able to build something. The reason that the European, with all the hell he gives us, can have something, because he can still give a black person a job. And long as he can feed our families, you can say what you want about him being the devil. The devil feeds the family. As long as we know the church ain't giving our people nothing but foolishness. But you know what? They can come get a meal, and they can come sit in the pews and get that stupid message they get. But they are pews to sit in. We, as quote-unquote conscious, national, we don't have nowhere for people to go, no services to offer them, and nobody that we can give a job. And I don't care if it's a personal relationship or not. I'm going to tell you right now, probably a good 50% of them Negro Christians who go to church faithfully every Sunday, if they came to something that we had that was bigger than their church, stronger and more powerful and more impressive, cleaner and nicer, just based on it being nice, job opportunities, and reasonable, and you saying positive things about black people, you could probably win 50% of them. When Brother Malcolm was helping to build the Nation of Islam, he went out, and he said he would go fishing. He went with a bunch of nice dressed brothers, put a soapbox in front of the church while they walking in, but he didn't go out there with his shoes turned over. He didn't go out there looking like he ain't have nothing. He had something. And I think that all of us in this movement suffer because we haven't built nothing. I think it trickles right down to, because honestly, if you got a brother, men are about seeing something. They don't want to hear, they want to see something. If you a sister and you conscious and you got this man and you want to convince him that this thing you about is so great, and that man looking around like these man ain't got nothing, they ain't gonna fight no cracking, they ain't got no gun, they ain't got trained, they fat, they sloppy. He just look at the real thing and say they ain't got nothing, he ain't gonna think about it. A woman, she looking around saying, can these people provide a job? Do they have a nice place for my children to play with? Let me see, do they have a nursery? Are the people nice? You know what I'm saying? Do they got good meals when we come around? Can I be a part of this and feel good about it? can I dress nicely? And I mean, they sound small, but if you can't provide those things, ideas do not do it for most people. So I just wanted to put that out there because I think that even though that's not the conversation we should have, if we have these great ideas and we, like you're saying, we build in family, you don't want to divorce your families. If we got these few people with these few ideas, with these few families, but they're the best ideas, then we should be able to produce something that's tangible that people can come to and say, I like this. And I think if we had that, I think a lot of our relationships would work better because somebody can come there and say, oh, I lost my job and I was able to work here at this place and get a job there and it worked very well and I really got to learn a lot and there's a tangible, legitimate reason for a person who don't know nothing about consciousness to say this thing is right and it's right because X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, I mean,
That makes so much sense.
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I mean,
Like in the Mosque of Cincinnati, under the leadership of Elijah Muhammad, Mosque number 5, they had Mercedes-Benz buses in 1975. So, I mean, it was something, black people, we love trinkets. You gotta show, like I said, you gotta show black people something. That's why the messenger had what he had. He had to show them something. That $1 million mosque they had in New York, they had to show them something. You can have this,
definitely, and that's the whole relationship thing. As far as knowing when to let go and when to build. That's something I kind of take seriously because he likes to say collapsed artery, and it was, but really they categorize that as a heart attack. And think, and he said he was eating well and all that, but what it boils down to is dealing with a lot of drama from an ignorant person. And literally sitting in the hospital with the 50-50 chance, don't know if you're going to live or die because they have to do the surgery on you and then other complications and all this other stuff because you're dealing with an ignorant person. And just the difference in night and day when you get with somebody that compliments you better as far as your ideology and everything. And, both of our birthdays are coming up. He's about to be 40. He doesn't look it. Now you would never.
He really doesn't.
Yeah, you would never know that. 8 years ago he had a heart attack or something like that, and that's why I take it very seriously because literally we can kill the person we're with by nagging him. We can kill the person we're with, and don't let yourself fall victim to that.
Well, brother, we got a lot of calls on the line, so we keep you on the whole time. But I gotta let a couple other people get in here. All right, brother. I look forward to seeing you this weekend. I'm hoping.
All right,
Hotel. That's our brother Body Shots in the house. And I think you already said it, but I just want to step on that point you just made. I've said this for years, and I really believe it. A lot of black men die from the stress put on them from the person that they love the most, which is their black woman. And that's real. I know some men who have died because of that. My brother from another mother, brother Sharif, in his house. How you feeling, soldier? Brother Sharif.
How you doing, brother?
We doing fantastic, brother. How you enjoying the show, man? Brother Sharif, can you hear us?
Can you hear me, brother?
Can you hear us? Brother Sharif.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Can you hear me?
Oh, okay, you was kind of fading out there. Yes, I had a kind of a two-part question for the sister. How much of the negative reactions that I'm not picking on the sisters, but how much of their attitudes towards black men do you think plays from white supremacy and the images that they see in the media? And the reason I ask that is I have a friend who I counsel a lot about his marriage. He got married about 2-3 years ago, and I saw some dangerous signs with this sister to the point where she came to the wife. He couldn't make it. She came to North Carolina to visit me and my wife. I sat her down and had her watch Brother Genie's video. What is it, Brother Genie? The feminism and you know what I'm talking about?
Yes, sir. Feminism, lesbianism, and the making of a black widow.
Right. Literally, this is for real. I literally sat her down and said, I need you to watch this. She watched the video and she said, man, that Brother Genie is bad. He's right on it. and she turned around and did everything that you said not to do in that video. Everything, to the T. And I told him, I said, when she gets that degree, it's going to get even worse. And now it's to the point where he can't even have sex with her. She won't even have sex with him. That's my second question. So how much do you think the images that black women see have to do with them not connecting with their man, or is it just a new phenomenon and we can't blame that on white people again? And what will cause a sister to just shut down her womb and not be intimate with her husband?
I'm going to call right back in because we breaking up. So hang on with us, and the sister's going to answer that question as soon as we call right back, all right?
Okay.
All right. Let's call right back in. You remember those questions?
I think so.
This service is provided in high definition by free conference call. Access code accepted. This conference is being recorded.
All right, brothers and sisters, we're back live. I think you can hear us better now. And can you hear us, Brother Sharif? Oh, Brother Sharif had to call back in. All right. Can you hear me better now, Brother Sharif?
Yeah, I can hear you real good now, brother.
Fantastic. All right.
Did you need me to repeat that? Because you was fading out almost the whole time.
No, we have those questions. We got it.
So
Okay.
the first question was basically how big of an impact does the media have on black women and their attitude towards black men?
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
I'd say initially, it has a big impact. I think even more so in the past. I think now a lot of the things that we've seen have kind of become a self-fulfilling prophecy, and some of the attitudes we have now have to do with black men not doing what they need to be doing. But I know for a fact, when I was growing up, the images I saw on TV were not great. And even I think I called into a show once talking about the color purple, and you had said, first of all, did I see that influence in me? Of course, I said yes to that. But also, did I think it kind of turned the way black men and women related to each other? And I couldn't answer that question honestly because that's really all I remember. By the time I was really into the black male-female dynamic, it was Color Purple, Women of Brewster Place. About the best thing that we had was the Cosby Show, and even she could get a little out of pocket from time to time. So, you look at the Color Purple, where all the men are enemies. The savior is a woman who comes to save the day with lesbianism. You look at the Women of Brewster Place, where most of the women are aggressive. I guess the only decent relationships were Robin Gibbons, which she was still a little aggressive, and then the lesbians. And then what happened to the lesbians? One of them went walking out one night, got raped by a black man, and ended up killing somebody. So again, it was like the evil black male character, and black women that didn't carry themselves in a proper manner. So I think that does have a lot with it, because you base your reality on that, especially when you don't have a mother and a father in the house together, or some people don't know their father at all. You don't have anything to base it on. So that's what you base it on. And I think that it definitely has a deep impact on us. I think the other question was, why would a woman stop having sex with her husband?
Yes, ma'am.
It could be a lot of reasons. I would first see if she has been molested or raped in any way, because that could be playing out now. Maybe it hasn't played out in the past. If that's not an issue, or sometimes even if it is, sometimes they've dealt with that. But women just feel like they can use sex as a weapon, and generally it backfires on them. A man, even good men, are going to wait, so long, and either they're going to leave or they're going to go behind your back to do whatever. People ain't going to wait 5 years. It's ridiculous, nor should they. So, it really could be just using that as a weapon, thinking she's being cute, thinking she has some kind of power over the man, because a lot of times if you have a man that you can't get to submit to you, you feel like that's your only power. But you don't realize, with the way society's going, that's really not power anymore, because they can easily go get it somewhere else a lot easier. So.
Okay.
definitely useful information. I just wanted Brother Jeannie to hear that I literally sat this young lady down and watched her video because I seen a storm coming, and she said, "Man, that Brother Jeannie, he's bad." And she turned right around and did everything that you said. I mean, even down to the degree, because she's working on her degree. I said, bro, if she don't straighten out when she gets that degree, it's going to get even worse. And he's not really conscious. I'm trying to get him there. And when she got that degree, she just shut down, literally. So
it's that cognitive dissonance. It's that cognitive dissonance where they hear it, they understand it for the moment that it's in, but they completely disconnect it from her own behavior. And I'm going to say something I really appreciate, because honestly, it was I know it was very immature. When the brother said, think about the sisters not wanting to lay with her husband, my first thought was, we were talking earlier about something that's a sign that you got to go. I was like, gotta go. But your answer was a much better answer. And I just want to say that again because it was a really, really mature answer. Much more mature than what came through my mind. You do really got to find out, because for a lot of black women who've been sexually abused and have never even addressed it, they might not even remember it until it comes to their mind. Or they know it happened, but they don't know that it was sexual abuse. They don't even know how to classify it. To know that happened and that it affects them and how it affects them, there are many sisters who can come out of that and change a lot of their behavior once they find out that at the root. I'm not saying it's a magic wand that can be waved to fix every situation, but I would say a substantial percentage of our relationships between the brothers and sisters who've been sexually abused, if the person's partner can know that and they can talk about it and they can work on that and the person can get some therapy, that a lot of our problems can be healed based on working through that problem, because it's substantially in the middle of us being able to get along with each other in a lot of situations. So, again, brother, we thank you for that call. Excellent questions as always, thought-provoking, and we hope you're enjoying the show, brother.
And can I say one more thing to him?
Sure.
Sometimes also women don't know how to change. I mean, you hear that information and it sounds good, but you don't know what to do to change it. It takes training and discipline and mentorship, because I was off the hook. I mean, you would not have wanted to see me. The only thing to save me was Islam. You would not have wanted to see me had it. And even with Islam, I was still off the hook, because you say, be this kind of woman, but how do you do that when in some way you do view men as your enemy? I mean, I remember in Color Purple, she said, a girl child isn't safe around a family full of men or something like that. But it rings true with women. Like, you can be like, man, horrible. But for a lot of women, it's like you relate to that. Like, you really feel like you love this man, but at the same time, he's your enemy. You're in combat. So the person you love is also the person you're at war with. And it's crazy, and it's very hard to know, okay, how can I submit to somebody who really I'm kind of still seeing as my enemy? You have to get over that. And then even if you don't see it quite like that, even if you don't have that kind of feminist problem, just how do you do? What does submit mean? What does that look like on a daily basis? How do you do that? And it's a book. It's written by a cracker, and it's kind of old school, so not everybody can get into it because she draws parallels with like classical literature and stuff like that. But it's called Fascinating Womanhood, and it kind of gives step by step how you can begin that process. And she'll probably have to read it like 7 million times to really get it down. But that is helpful, because it's one thing to say be a good woman, but what does that look like? How does that look? If somebody just said be a good man, and you don't know what a man is, you don't know how to be a man. How do you do it? So.
All right, brother. Well, we appreciate your call, and we'll definitely see you on the battlefield.
Okay, thank you, bro.
Yes, sir. Now I have a question, and then we're going to go talk, because we got some more calls online. Don't worry, callers. We definitely coming to you. We got some time on the show. I really got to ask this, though, because, and I'm not going to hold up the show with this, but I really got to ask it. I think out of all the lines in that movie, the one that bothered me the most was when she said, a girl child ain't safe in a family of men. I'm going to tell you why it bothered me the most. Mm-hmm. I do know for many black women that's reality because of the families they were in, but I also know a substantial number of black women say the reason that nothing ever happened because they didn't tell their daddy. Because if they told their daddy, they knew their daddy was going to kill that person, he was going to go to jail. Also, I know the women I know who have not been sexually abused, they have a bunch of brothers. They ain't never have to worry about nothing happening to them because they knew what would happen with their brothers. Right. So even like with us, with my daughter, all these dudes around, she's much more safe than she would be if it was just me and the sister Nefertari, or just sister Nefertari or something like that, because we think alike. Right. Like, don't nobody better even think nothing like that. You know what I'm saying? So in the reality, I'm like, is it really true that a girl child in a family of men, historically in our community, is in more danger than a girl child in a family without men?
Unfortunately, I kind of think maybe. I mean, it's, your family is not the norm, and of course, you're a protector, and you're going to protect your child. But for a lot of people, that's not the case. Or like you said, you might have protectors, but if you can't speak to them because, say, somebody did something to you and you love that person, so you still, being a woman is really crazy. Somebody could hurt you and you still want to protect them. That's why you get people getting beat up every night and you try to help them out and they'll try to get you killed to save the person beating them up because you still protect the person you love. So even if you had a father who would have done something, but you just felt you couldn't tell him, either you didn't want your father to hurt him or you didn't want to hurt your father or whatever, I think that it is kind of the norm more than that, I think.
And the factual matter of it is true. I mean, over 75% of our women are being sexually abused, so that's not a question. But the fact that in situations where the men in that house would do something if they could, but the daughter doesn't tell her father, it seems to me that's not a woman that's not protected. That's a woman that just did not share the information. I'm not blaming her, but I'm saying, okay.
But what if the person that did it, okay, she got a house full of protectors, but it was a cousin or a brother who did that, then it's still, you feel like a woman, a girl child in a house full of men or a family full of men aren't safe because maybe you had a protector. But if it was an uncle that did it, a brother that did it, a cousin that did it.
And it always an uncle, cousin, or brother, or father that did it. Okay, point made. All right, I quit. I'm trying to lobby for the brothers, but man, I that just hurts me to hear that. I hated that line, man. I still get bothered when I think about that thing. 4623, you live on Warner Horizon.
B40, brother B40, sis.
BB4 my brother True.
Salute, warrior.
Yes, sir. How you doing, my brother?
I really appreciate the show. I'm definitely learning a lot. And I just want to tell for the single brothers and sisters that's listening, do not compromise. A lot of times we get into this instant gratification and, we're scared to be alone. But one of the worst things you can do is compromise. Me and my compliment, we have a joke between us that we usually share with people. On our second date, I asked her, does she breastfeed? And is she willing to breastfeed? You know what I mean? And that's how, when we're courting and dating, this is how we got to, conduct ourselves like an interview. A lot of times we play around, taking them to the movies, eating popcorn, man, forget none of that. If you're really about nation building, then this is an interview. Who are you? Do you like to read? How do you feel about Malcolm? How do you feel about Garvey? And that's all I really wanted to share. And also, if we say we African-centered, then we got to consult the elders. That's something else that I did before me and the Queen took it to the next level. I consulted with elders. How do you feel? I told her about the Queen, what she's about, who she is. And if the elders didn't give me the green light, then I wouldn't be with her right now. Bottom line.
And I can say on this brother's behalf, this is a very genuine, honest black man. He means what he says. Yes, man, I know you're about to say something.
Oh, I was just going to say I agree. I mean, it was similar with me and my husband because we were in different states, completely different states. So we met through a mutual friend who said, you should talk, y'all need to just be together. And we were like, no, because he didn't like the guy. So he was like, I ain't talking to nobody you want me to talk to. You can forget it. So after probably about a month or so, we started talking. And the first time he came to see me, we went out on a date with my father. Because by that time I realized I have no taste in men. So Dad, look, Yeah, we went bowling. I said, Dad, you tell me. But, that whole time we were talking and I was questioning him, and I saw him 3 times before we got married. That's it. But I was comfortable with it because I had asked so many questions as far as his beliefs, religious, spiritual.
Question my mom.
Yeah, we were both in transition. It was just like.
What about your dad? What did your dad say?
He liked me. Said I like that one. He thought he was stable. He had proven that he was stable in a lot of ways. So my dad liked him. My dad didn't like anybody. As a matter of fact, David is the only one that my uncle, who's passed. He's the only one he didn't pull a knife on. Out of everybody I ever brought around family, he's the only one he didn't pull out a knife on and threaten. And that ended up to be the one that I balanced with. But, I was questioning him constantly. And then when he started saying some things that didn't sound right, I went down there like, okay, I'm going to investigate, see what's going on. Because right now you're telling me some stuff that don't sound right to me. So I didn't give him a lot of notice. I told him when I'm leaving, I'm on my way, holler. And I went down there, saw what was going on. And
It was nothing.
so whatever. But
Said he was right. He was a genuine man like I thought.
Yes, sir.
But that was the last time I saw him, and then the next time I saw him, we got married. So it's very true, get the elders involved and investigate very thoroughly, and, it can work.
And, brother, what you saying is the way the Nation of Islam used to do it. Mm-hmm. It ain't no long, that trifling stuff. I'll be honest, I don't even want to talk about, like, my past experience. I had to look at what the Nation of Islam did and then look at my own life and see that's why they did it that way. Because you leave it up to a black man growing up in America listening to hip-hop and a black woman growing up in America listening to hip-hop. That ain't the way we going to do it. We ain't thinking serious and we don't do the right thing. So, brother, thank you for calling with that. That's very serious, and that's the way we need to start taking our nation building and looking at it very seriously, brother.
I need a copy of this show, big bro.
Hey, it's a done deal, man. Look, I hear the brother. You hear the brothers calling up. Give me a copy of the show. I gotta have it. Yeah. It's a done deal, sir.
I appreciate One Horizon, brother.
Yes, sir. We appreciate you, warrior.
That means they got to be careful what they're saying when they're calling in, because somebody might get a copy and hear what they're talking about.
They want them. They want somebody to get a copy. That's these brothers calling up.
Might be sleeping on the couch.
2480. You're live on Warner Horizon. 2480.
Hey, BB Fahodier.
BB Fahodier.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you fantastic. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you now.
All right.
All right, here's my question for you. Earlier tonight, the sister was talking about how when it comes to dealing with men, when a man wants to introduce you to homosexual acts, that's a time to go ahead and leave. However, what if it's a situation where you're a monogamous sister, or you've grown up in the tradition of being monogamous, and he wants to live a polygamous lifestyle, and he's choosing the women, not necessarily you assisting in choosing those women? How do you deal with that?
And sister, hold on with us for 1 second. We breaking up. I'm going to call right back in. The sister's going to answer your questions, so stay right on with us, okay? Bear with us for 1 moment, brothers and sisters. We just going to call.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
Right,
This service is provided in high definition.
You said she asked anything? What'd you say?
So there's always interference when I'm on the air.
Access code accepted. This conference is being recorded.
All right, we back up live and direct, and our sister's going to answer that question.
Okay. I will say I take a semi-neutral position on polygamy. I believe, I'm from the Nation of Islam. We do not engage in that. And I think for 99% of the black community, that's not a good thing. Black men, generally, when they are into it, are not into it for the right reasons, and they may not be mature enough to deal with that properly. It ends up hurting instead of helping. So for 99% of the people, I say no. For the brothers who actually are in it for nation building and who are able to take care of themselves or and their families, whatever, I don't judge them. It is what it is, and not everything works for everybody. But as far as, a brother just telling you, that he's going to be polygamist and you know that you cannot deal with that, then you probably should look for somebody else. I mean, everybody has things they can deal with and things they can't deal with. And if that's something you can't deal with, then, cut it loose. To me, and I'm not one to tell people to lose their relationships. I try to save relationships as much as possible. But if that's just something you're firm and you can't deal with, you're not going to have peace. And not only that, if he is not into it for the right reasons, if he is letting you have no say in this kind of thing, I used to work for a health insurance company, and to keep it real, I'd say at least a quarter of the people that I talked to had herpes, and those are only the people who were being truthful because some of them lied. So it's a very common thing, and if you don't have it, it's not something that you want. From what I've heard, it hurts and it's excruciating, and I've heard stories. So not only that, you have other STDs, but that's just the one I focused on because that's the one you really can't get rid of. It's also when you go to have children, it can be fatal to children. You hear about Jewish rabbis a lot of times performing rituals and giving children herpes and then they die. And that's very true. I mean, if a baby is born and he's been around herpes at all, they'll usually keep him in ICU for a few weeks. So that's something that you need to seriously consider if you want to have children. It goes a lot deeper than just the emotional issues of sharing your man with somebody else. It's really life and death and your health. So, only you know how you feel about that and what you can tolerate. But if you're not comfortable with it, I wouldn't engage in it.
Okay. Thank you so much for your insight. I appreciate it.
Oh, no problem. Thank you.
Thank you. That was a beautiful question. That's real, 1302, you're live on One Horizon with Lady Shabazz.
Yes, may peace be with you, Lady Shabazz and her husband,
Peace.
and Abidi Fahodie to Jeannie. This is a very good show. I was looking in the final call, and I saw open for business in terms of salon restaurant. My question is, because I have great respect for the Nation of Islam under the leadership of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And it occurred to me that there was a time when people would just move out of your way when they saw a Muslim family walking down the street, suit, bow tie, mother, and MGT. And it was just a beautiful sight to see children who were disciplined, men who were disciplined. What would it be if today the Nation of Islam designed their own suits and shirts and bow ties in terms of economic development? Jeannie stole my thunder, because economic development is something that I agree we definitely need in the black community. And I mean, I have children who's graduated college, biomedical engineer, another one in, wow, she would kill me if she heard me stumble on this, but she just graduated university. When a really nice girl, I don't want to be too public with it, wow, anyway, a bright daughter. And we don't have the institutions to employ our own children. So what would it be like if we had black institutions that were producing our own goods and services so that we can employ our own kids?
I mean, we saw an example like that, like you said, under The Messenger. There was everything, and honestly, it was a lot easier for women to be submissive because they could respect their men. Their men were men, and we're missing that now. We had farmland. As a matter of fact, the person who I have rehab in my house was a farmer for the Nation of Islam. And just listening to him talk, we had factories. We had our own clothing designers. We had everything. So we've already had an example of what can happen when black men put their minds to it and become leaders and protectors and people that we can look up to. When they stop doing that, we see what happens. And that's another thing, too. I've seen a lot of people lately saying, well, black women, they have attitudes and they're just following white men and all this other stuff. But a woman's going to follow somebody. And if she doesn't have a black man to follow, I in no way am saying that a black woman should follow white society in any way, shape, or form. But if you cannot follow your black man, who are you going to follow? It should be a birthright to have a man that you could look up to and respect and follow. And you know what? I'm doing a show on this next week. Let me not get too... because I'm going to turn this into the Black Survival Show by the time I'm done. But yeah, we need to get back to that where we can look up to our men and respect them.
Right. I agree. Thank you for taking my call.
All right. Thank you for that call, brother. Good hearing from you.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Let me get started.
Yeah, I know. Oh, my brother Jeff from D.C., you live in the house on One Horizon, brother. How you feeling? Brother Jeff from D.C.? Brother Jeff been having some problems recently with that connection. Brother Jeff from D.C. going once, going twice, no sale. All right. So I tell you what, we coming down. We got 8 minutes left in the show, so we really wrapping it up. I think this has been, I've enjoyed this show. You know, sitting here with the royal family, and they come in town from D-Town, bringing some of that D-Town strength and vibes to the home. They went out to Sumas, got some good grub today. So they ate good. Now they feeding our minds. We got all the hard hitters calling tonight. I thought for sure that my brother from the southbound lane was going to call. I knew he would like to get in on this one, but let's see if I can get my brother Jeff back on the line before we get off air tonight. Brother Jeff from D.C.
Crack in the trunk, bro.
Crack in the trunk.
Crack in the trunk. Crack in the trunk. Can you hear me,
Yeah, we say crack in the trunk.
What's that? What, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
I was saying, that's the way I say the stuff now. I used to say black inspiration. You know, they say that's how you doing, sis?
He said, how you doing?
Oh, I'm fine. I'm sorry. I could barely hear you. How you doing?
Yeah, we can barely hear you, bro.
Hey, I'm sorry, man. I'm freaking cars right now, so I'm on my truck.
So look, he calling from the truck. The brother, you ain't got no crackers in that truck, do you?
Nah. I got it on reserve, though, bro.
You got it on reserve? What you calling for tonight, bro?
Huh?
I said, what you calling for tonight?
I'm just calling the man say what's up. I ain't been on the show in a couple of weeks. And let the sister know that I'm listening to her. You know, we always conversate on Facebook, but this is my first time catching her so I can talk to her while she's on the show, I think.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. I know you enjoying the show, ain't you?
Yeah, I'm enjoying the show, bro. I'm enjoying the show.
Well, that's beautiful, bruh. We having some difficulty with your connection, so I'm gonna let you go. But I know the sister appreciates you calling up and sharing your support, man. And we all enjoy all that good stuff you put out there on Facebook.
Yeah, and talk about Facebook. I hope you ain't got no suckers in the trunk either.
Uh-oh. She said she hope you don't got no suckers in the trunk.
I just downloaded all the service that you wanted. Like, it seems like all the service that you wanted, you angry, you rail on somebody. So, I just wanted to see if, man, maybe y'all can try to put y'all shows on the podcast, man. I really don't want to hear this stuff voice. And I got to hear this stuff voice, but they're going back to memory stuff, so I got the dance like too.
All right, bro. Well, we will be talking to you soon, bro. We appreciate you calling. We'll see you on the battlefield. All right. Crack in the trunk. I like that. Brother Jeff from D.C., he called up and said, crack in the trunk. You ain't got to say nothing. Crack in the trunk. Well, how about that for a greeting, right? Yeah, well, brothers and sisters, it's been a fantastic show. I want to ask Lady Shabazz, you got anything you want to say to round out the show?
I think that's it. I just, I don't want anybody to get the idea that, I don't take relationships seriously and that you should just bail out at the first sign of problems. we have to work on stability in the community, and that's another thing that builds respect and allows you financial stability and security, is to have that stability. But at the same time, we have to have relationships that function. So if you're not in a relationship that functions and the person you're with is not trying to make it function, then we have to look at that and maybe make some better decisions.
All right. Well, Brother David, do you have anything that you want to say to end the show with?
Yes, sir. I just want to say it's off topic, but it's been a pleasure being at sitting at the table with the irritated genie. The brother's not that irritated.
I got family here tonight, so we all right tonight. You know what I'm saying? You caught us on a good night. Yeah, well, this has been definitely been a wonderful show. Very, very enjoyable. I think everybody has been able to benefit from it. I can tell by the responses and by the listenership that people have really enjoyed it. We got a lot of people online, a lot of people called in. And it's a show, I think, honestly, this is not a one-time show. We said, it was titled, what is the black woman going to do for the revolution? But it really was about, honestly, it's about repairing black relationships. And I'm going to put out something of thought. We used to have it where the last Saturday of every month, we had what we called a round table. Mm-hmm. That's what you remember. We used to have Suck Guts. Yeah. We used to have Suck Guts. We ain't got Suck Guts no more. But but we got a nice family now. We can go back to that format. And I think that, I don't know if it'll be the only topic, but I think if we had a consistent show about repairing black male-female relationships, and we brought our families on, the Warren Horizon family guests that would really be most suited to talk about that, and we did at the end of each month, and we could focus on different things at different times. We can always interject different stuff, but I think that would be really good. What do you think about that?
I think that would be great. Those used to be my favorite programs when you and Sister Nefertari, King Samir, Louis Ali would all come together and do that. It was a lot of fun. Sometimes it was like you almost ain't want to go to the guests because everybody has something interesting to add to it. So I think that would be great. All
right. Well, you know what? I'm gonna talk to everybody. We got Brother DJ now. Oh man, we got Brother Kim and his wife, Sister Nefertari. We can make this thing out, man. That'll be an explosive show just with the guests alone.
Be about 3 or 4 hours.
That'd be about a 5-hour show. You're like, look, man, I got stuff to do. It's Saturday, man. This is my only day to do something. But that'll give people something to do on a Saturday. Look forward to at the end of the month. I'm going to talk to everybody. We're going to see if we can make that happen. I think that would be something everybody would get a lot out of. We want to thank you, brothers and sisters, for listening. I see I got one more call. Let me go and make sure if they want to say anything. 6043. You're live on One Horizon with Sister Lady Shabazz.
No, Black Paul, I'm just calling in, checking in. I called in a minute, so I was just seeing what vibe y'all was on.
Oh, yes, sir. All right, brother. We appreciate it. Unfortunately, we're about to end the show, but it was a real good show tonight. But you check it out tomorrow from 9 to 11. Brother DJ going to be on live throwing them bombs.
All right, for sure.
All right, brother, man. See you on the battlefield. All right, well, that's it for another great War on the Horizon show, one of my favorite shows on the radio. And we thank you for tuning in and listening. We love you, but remember, we didn't come here to be your friend. We came here to save you, brothers and sisters. And we will see you on the battlefield. We're going to go out tonight with our song, How We by Brothers Keeper, talking about us getting these relationships back together. We love you. We'll see you on the battlefield, War on the Horizon. You gotta love